We covered Scrum, we covered Scrum Master, Product Owner, the teams and how to make them great. And this has become a bright spot at your company. It's excellent and they want to scale it up. How you do it? You use one of the frameworks. There is Scrum of Scrums or some different frameworks like SAFe. And today's episode, we're going to cover the latter one because this is the one I'm more familiar with and I work every day. Let's dive in. I'm Greg Miścichowski, and this is the Uncover Leadership Podcast. For over 15 years, I've been leading teams, and my mission is simple: to share my experience so you can grow on your own leadership journey. Each episode, I'll bring you some practical tips, real-world insights, and lessons from my path to help guide yours. So listen in. Let's uncover leadership together. So let's start from the base. It's still around the team. The team is still the core functional unit in SAFe. Because in SAFe, you have basically the team of teams. You start with the team, you scale it up to the Agile Release Train. And the Agile Release Train is basically, as SAFe guide describes, between 5 to 12 Agile teams. You can work with 4. I wouldn't go anything below that because then you lose the benefit. It's just become more costly. In SAFe, like I mentioned, you have the unit, you have your, we're going to go with the lower one. You go with the 5 teams. You have then kind of the body of leadership for the Agile Release Train, ART. The acronym is ART. And you're going to have the Release Train Engineer. This is the AKA Scrum Master for all of the teams. You're going to get the product manager. This is aka product owner for the teams. And you're going to get the system architect or engineer. And I saw many variations. I even had that role split between the architect and engineer, but I'm going to cover that later. And the way it's working, you create this program increments, PIs. The teams are planning for them. They can get somewhere from 8 to 12 weeks. Usually I did variant when we did 13 weeks, and I also gonna explore it a little bit later on, why and what's the benefit of that. You have the teams meeting daily like they do in the regular scrums, but once or twice a week we have something that we call Scrum of Scrums, where we're gonna gather all of the Scrum Master, product owners, and any leadership that wanna join in, and we discuss where the teams are. It's a base for the teams to get the communication flowing between them. If I see that someone's bringing stuff up only on that SOS calls, I see a problem because they're not communicating in between. And we used to have it once a week. I saw a lot of gaps, because there's stuff that's just sitting on a shelf waiting for that call to happen. So we have it twice a week. And we also see improvements with the teams that we're working on. They're quite new teams. Some of them are with us just for the 2-3 months. So they joined last PI and we had a last PI planning together. And that needs time, right? That communication channels to be established and work properly, it needs time, especially if you have working with the different vendors. It also works, but it needs a little bit more time. So I cover one of the ceremonies that are on a higher level. From the best practices, on my side, we have one backlog for the whole art, and then there are functions within the tool that we're using to show only the parts that are responsible, each team is responsible for. That way, from my perspective and from the leadership perspective, we have that grand view. We have a 10,000 feet view on everything. The teams can focus on the details, but if the Scrum Master or product owner, they wanna step out a little bit and look at the bigger picture, they can at any point of time. They can see where they have the dependencies, what's coming for them in the future. And the source for that is that program backlog that the whole art owns it, and each individual team. Now for the program increments, for the iterations itself, what's the benefit of them, right? You give that clarity for the leadership that this is what we will be covering the next 3 months. We not just limit to 2 weeks, like in a sprint, they see the value because they are more certain that this is what we're gonna deliver in the next 3 months. We also go a step above that. We just sit down, we look at everything that need to be done, and we create a train roadmap for the next few PIs. That way, the leadership, this is what they potentially gonna work on later on, but we explain to them like, this is the roadmap. It's not our plan. We're not gonna stick to it if there's gonna be change in priority. If we're gonna have something critical that we need to address, let's say in the mid of the next PI, we're gonna bump something up to later on, and they need to understand, because usually the priority comes from them, so they see like, oh, so I can do it, right? I can adjust the plan, and there's gonna be some trade because we might not necessarily gonna finish everything that year, or we're gonna run out of money for the train at some point, and we're gonna have to think differently. The critical parts for that Agile Release Train to work properly is, first of all, it's need time to be established and to work properly. It's not going to work for the day one. The train I'm on right now, they gathered together a year ago, and I joined them in the summer. So they had, each team had their separate demos. They didn't get the touch points between them. They did 2 plannings that didn't work out that well because they didn't keep to them. The first one I joined in, we had quite of an adventure because we knew that the huge vendor is coming, that we're gonna get new teams joining in our train, and we don't know what they're gonna be able to working on. So we planned with keeping in mind that we're gonna have to, amidst PI, we're gonna have to reshuffle everything when they're gonna join in. We planned for the stories to get them onboarded. I'm gonna say it this way because we knew they're coming, so we knew that work need to be covered. The one that we had right after they joined, they were with us for like 5 weeks maybe. They were already onboarded. They knew how to find stuff. They knew what we will be working on, and it was good. I was surprised how well it went. There were some gaps that we need to cover. One of the teams had a say-do ratio over 3 months, 50%, because they overestimated. Sorry, maybe not overestimated. They were overconfident about the stories that they can finish. So they jumped with a bunch of stories in their sprints, and they couldn't do it. But that's a source of information for us, because we know that they can do less, or maybe we saw the increment at the end of the PI that they're catching up, and they know how to better plan for the next PI. And for me, we did it 3 weeks ago. We get that next PI planning, and it was amazing. I couldn't imagine that the teams, after such a short while together, I'm not going to have to chase them for that. It's not like we didn't do it, but I usually had to remind them, help them set up the calls. After the initial kickoff of the PA planning, they spread into the rooms, and when they identify that they need to get the input from the other team, they reach to them, they set up a call themselves, and they get that follow-up discussions, they get that additional breakup sessions with the other teams. This is what we want to accomplish, right? This is the role of a really trained engineer, to get that communication running between the teams, and they work themselves. They build a plan as they see it fit best, the time that we have available and the priorities that we have on the table for the business. So, you can pack your bags and go forward, or maybe not yet, because the team's always going to go back to old ways. You're going to see improvements. You're going to see that you are 3 steps in front of the plan that you had for them to get better. And then on the next day, they're going to be 5 steps backwards because of some other things. There are a lot of changes, right? We need to remember that the teams are not solid. We work with the humans. They're going to get different emotions. Sometimes they're going to be having setbacks. Sometimes someone is going to get sick. And maybe that was that one person that basically hold the whole communication with their team and the other team on the train. So there is going to be situations like that. I wanted to make sure that you're not going to get discouraged with that, because you can see it, right? If you're going to see that something's going south, you kind of try to identify the root cause. You do your analysis. What caused it? Oh, we have a bottleneck. We had only that one person that was reaching out to everyone. How we can fix it? You can sit down with the team, or you can hint it to the Scrum Master. I noticed this is what's happening. When this person is not in the office, the whole communication with your team is basically in ruins. How you can change that? And he can bring it up on the retrospective for their team. From the other things, from the best practices, I would highly encourage if you have more than 6 to 7 teams to get that system team. And the function of the system team is to help all of the other teams with the environments, with the setups, with the stuff that's usually mundane, but it's necessary. And if you're going to get that one specialized team to know, they're going to have a knowledge base how to create new environments in the cloud, your team's not going to spend more time than it's needed downtime, because they can connect with that team ahead of time. They're going to set up an environment, and when the team going to be ready with their part, they can just jump into the environment and they can do their testing, their development, and what not needed. So I bring some tips and advices and my observations from working with Agile Release Trains. But what safe it's not going to do. I usually give that portion at the beginning of the recording, but right now I wanted to kind of bring you in some tips and advices first. Agile Release Train safe framework will not work as Waterfall. And sometimes leadership can kind of think they see a lot of different roles, they see a lot of different, program implements, and they're going to see, planning. We have planning over here. But they need to understand that the planning is not for the whole project. It's, let's say, not multi-year plan, but it's a 3-month plan that the teams build. It's the team's responsibility to create their own plans, because they need to be the owners of that plan. It's going to make it easier for you as a leader to get them execute that plan when they own it. And then we should have a roadmap. We should have information what we're going to do in the next few months. And that's the responsibility of the product manager, because that person is bringing the work to the train. It helps cooperate the communication between product owners and all of the stakeholders. So that person should build that roadmap with cooperation with the teams and with cooperation with the business, with the leadership. And the last role I didn't talk about much is that system architect/engineer. That person is responsible for bringing the technology and creating an architecture roadmap for the team. So if there are plans that we're going to integrate some systems, that person should work ahead of time to bring that knowledge and information for the team on the PA planning. And I think that's enough for today. We cover a lot of topics. If there is anything particular that you would love to hear more, I'm going to cover Release Train Engineer, Product Manager, and System Architect in the next episodes. But if there are other aspects of SAFe that you want to learn more, please let me know in the comments. If you like it, thank you very much for listening today, and I encourage you to visit us next week. Thank you.